the two-party tradition. This is all about why and how our electoral system is set up in a situation that we will always have in the United States, a two-party system, unless there's some major changes to our election law or our Constitution is amended. Our electoral system makes it nearly impossible for third parties or for a multi-party system to take place in the United States. And the major rule that makes it impossible is our winner-take-all system. So when we have an election in the United States, we don't give any seats to second place, third place, fourth place. We're going to study in comparative certain systems that if you win 40% of the vote nationwide, you're going to win 40% of the seats in the legislative branch. And we're going to get into how proportional representation works in a moment. State election laws, remember, that is a reserved power of the state. The states write the ballot, and it's difficult to get on the ballot. If you want to get on the ballot as a third-party candidate, you have to circulate a petition and get a certain number of eligible or registered voter, depending upon the state's laws, a certain number of registered voters to sign off on your candidacy before you can even show up on the ballot. The two major parties get up there automatically. Very rarely are you asked to participate in debates. In order to participate in the presidential debates, the Democrat versus the Republican, so like if Jill Stein or Gary Johnson wanted to debate with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump in 2016, they had to be polling at higher polling numbers, like at least 10%. They aren't as well funded as the major candidates. Their party structures aren't as well funded, and they're definitely not getting PAC money. Political action committees or outside donors aren't going to contribute money to a third-party candidate because it's a waste of money. Because of the electoral laws, outside organizations like political action committees or interest groups, they know that a third party is not going to win, so they're not going to waste their money on their campaigns. And we just really have a history in this country, a political history of two ideological groups going all the way back to the independence movement. So that's something that you see kind of carry through, is this sense that you are going as a voter to, or as a U.S. citizen, you're going to fit in either or of the categories for the most part. Okay, that's some video questions. If you want to watch these videos, this first video right here with the first questions, if you go to Vox's YouTube channel and you type in the history of the political parties, those are the questions that go with the history of the political parties. And then this is a CPG Gray video. If you put in the problem with first past the post or the problem with winner take all under his channel, these the video would pop up for that. And then, so here is the difference. Our electoral system has what's called first past the post. First past the post is also known as, also associated with winner take all. So the idea behind first past the post is that the candidate that wins the most votes, it doesn't even have to be a majority of the votes. So let's say you have 3 people running for office. The person who wins 34% of the vote, that's a plurality. It's not even a majority. It's not over 50%. But the other 2 candidates are never going to get more than what that first candidate won, the first candidate who had 34%. So our system, if you do have 3 people or even 4 people running, all you need to win that seat is more votes than anyone else. So if you had 6 people running for office, the person who won 25% of the vote could win the seat, win the election. Okay, that's going to make it difficult for third parties to get into office and have a chance at making laws that are going to fulfill their policy promises. So, coupled with first past the post is the idea that there is one seat and one winner will take that seat. Now, the best way to explain that is to compare it to a proportional system. In a proportional system, let's say you have 100 seats up for grabs. You have 100 parliamentary seats or 100 legislative seats nationwide. All right, say you have 100 seats nationwide available for your legislative branch. Your party is going to get seats that correspond with the percentage of votes they received. So if your minor third party or your minor fourth or fifth party received 10% of the nationwide votes, you still get 10 seats in the legislative branch, which then allows your party to work with another party and get legislation passed. But in our country, there is no second place or third place winner. It is one winner. It's the one who gets the plurality or the most, and they get the one seat. All right, let's break that down. Okay. This is actually a law, and it deals with not just political science and electoral law, but like the psychology behind our system. Duviger's law states that when you have a system that's set up like the United States, where we divide our states into districts, so here's Virginia, okay, we live in the 3rd district, okay, and we divide Virginia into 11 different districts, and one representative represents each one of these individual districts. So that's the single member seat. So the 9th district, single member, one person can represent the 9th. The 3rd district, it's going to be Bobby Scott. Bobby Scott represents the 3rd district. Okay. Now the way that they win those seats is through plurality. Plurality being all you have to do is win more votes than anybody else. You don't even have to win a majority. And this system of single member plurality, it's going to favor the two-party system. Okay, so single member districts, only one representative is chosen from each district. Second place is the first loser. Even if 10% of the American voters want a third-party candidate, it's not enough. You have to be the candidate that wins more electoral votes or more election votes than anybody else. If we had a proportional system, then the seats in the legislative branch would be divvied up or allocated based on the percentage of nationwide votes your party won. And where we see winner take all, first past the post plurality system is in all kinds of elections, not to mention just state elections, but at the national level. You see it with how we give out electoral college votes, how we pass out Republican convention delegates, how you win your seat in the House of Representatives, and how you win your Senate seat. All right, and I completely stole this chart from the internet. I wish I could credit it with somebody, but I think everybody on the internet has stolen this chart and used it in their explanation. All right, so how the two-party system perpetuates itself. So this is how Duviger's law works in action. You start with our electoral college, or our electoral rules, the winner take all, our election rules. First past the post, you just have to win more than anybody else. and you win the one seat available. Only one winner, loser gets nothing. So, as a voter, you have to think to yourself, if I vote for a third party, my vote is basically trash. So I need to choose the third party candidate that looks the most like, I need to scratch that. I need to choose one of the major party candidates that looks most like my third party candidate. So let's take the 2016 election. Let's say you had Donald Trump, the Republican. You had Gary Johnson, a Libertarian. You had Hillary Clinton, Democrat. Jill Stein, the Socialist. Okay? A Socialist Party candidate. Jill Stein and Hillary Clinton's platform would be more similar than Jill Stein and Donald Trump's platform. Gary Johnson, with his laissez-faire economic ways, looks more like Donald Trump's platform than Hillary Clinton. So if the race was close and you knew that your vote would be wasted if you voted for either Jill Stein or Gary Johnson, what you're going to do is you're going to look at the major party candidate that looks most like the third party candidate you support. So Jill Stein looks most like Hillary Clinton, so instead of voting for Jill Stein, you vote for Hillary Clinton. Otherwise, your vote for Jill Stein is wasted because you know, because of our system, that third party candidates are never going to win enough of the popular vote to win enough electoral college votes to win the presidency. So you're always going to go with the major party candidate that is closest to your third party candidate's policy promises. Okay, so voters choose not to support parties that they don't think are going to win. So lack of voter support discourages the formation of minor parties. So if you're Jill Stein, you're like, why am I wasting my time and my money campaigning for president when I know I'm not going to win? I'm just going to fold. So fewer parties flourish. And here's the problem. The only people that could change these winner-take-all, first-past-the-post, single-member district rules are the political parties that hold power in Congress. Because changing this will take national legislation on top of congressional amendment or constitutional amendments. So a Democrat and Republican sitting in Congress who has the power to amend the Constitution is never going to say, hey, I think it's a good idea to allow a little bit more competition in the system. All right, so two-party versus multi-party. Don't be, there isn't any reason to be despaired, because there are reasons why we have a two-party system and why two-party systems are good. So these up here stand for single-member district, first past the post, winner-take-all system. Okay, again, this is the rules that perpetuate the two parties. There's a lot of stability. You have two umbrellas. If you want to try to fit the most people under your umbrella, then you have to have the biggest, widest umbrella to fit the most people under it, right? So if you are a Republican candidate and you're trying to win a plurality of the votes to win an election, you have to make your stance on the issues available and accessible to the most amount of people. So you're going to try to avoid being super extreme or having like just crazy ideas about certain policies. It provides us Americans with a simple choice. We only have to really know the platform, policies, and the planks behind two parties. The cons, we don't have a little choice. Don't have a lot of choice, and we don't get a lot of change. Proportional representation system, they're going to bring new ideas and new solutions. It's a voice for independence. So people who wouldn't otherwise participate because they hate the Republicans or the Democrats. They highlight major problems the major parties ignore. But multi-parties can throw elections.